I'm getting no sound from you at all. You just made my editing really challenging. I'm getting no sound from you at all. You just made my editing. Today we are going to be talking about the Detroit Red Wings and putting together the all-time team in Detroit. The face of the franchise for Detroit. Zunk, who are you nominating?
Well, I'm nominating the man with his own hat trick, Gordy Howe.
However, the correct choice is Steve Yzerman. Of course, Gordy Howe's got to be in consideration for it, but Steve Yzerman is one of the best captains to ever play. Just in terms of being a captain, I'd probably have him number 2 or 3 on the list all time. The guy put up well over a point per game average, and he could have done even more damage, except he had to change his game around and become a lot more defensive oriented to help win some championships in Detroit, which he did well. So top that with your Gordy Howe and his hat tricks.
But for Gordy Howe, also a point per game player, when you think Detroit, he's probably the first name most people come up with. As a matter of fact, I think of the NHL as a whole. Gordy Howe is one of the very first names you think of. Yes.
Because I'll give you NHL. I'll give you NHL. Can you make that case for Detroit?
Gordy Howe produced into his 50s. I think Gordy Howe, for me personally, just barely edges out Yzerman for face of the franchise.
Well, you keep saying for me a lot there, Zunk. I'm going not just on a personal level. I'm holding your feet here to the fire, you son of a bitch.
Gordy Howe's the face of the Detroit.
Have to do a little bit more than that, because, yeah, Gordy Howe played and was producing into his 50s, 60s, 70s, but he had to put up the points that Steve Yzerman did in a respectable amount of years as a player.
I mean,
and I already hit on Yzerman's sacrificed offense for a more complete game.
I mean, you're making this tough for me, admittedly. Again, between the two, again, you could pick either or. But again, Gordy Howe hat trick name, a fight, a goal, and an assist to the game. Gordy Howe was he was an absolutely amazing player. Play 100 more games, play a long time, longevity. I mean, they both play a long time. Had the penalty minutes too. He just was a. What more can you say? It's Gordy fucking Howe.
Well, Zunk, I am going to give myself the win here for the argument, Steve Yzerman. This was all a bit of a ruse, though, because we have predetermined that Gordy Howe is the face of the franchise. But I'm still taking the win. But Gordy Howe, face of the franchise.
Fair enough. Yeah, I didn't.
So we're right wing. You want to just start there then? The other players we are taking into consideration here for our all-time team in Detroit, none other than Mr. Cummy Burden, Dino Ciccarelli, Danny Gare, Brett Hall, Joey Koser, Martin Lapointe, Darren Mccarty, Mickey Redmond, and Ray Shepard. I'm a little disappointed on the right side. Like, I thought this was going to be a really tough decision because we were going to be fighting for a lot of really good players. And I'm looking at it going, this is a hard decision because we don't have any huge standouts here. Darren Mccarty, I am going to put at number 2 because he did a lot for that team. I know he doesn't have the points that we usually have for that 2 spot, but he gave room for other people to play, and he produced more than his fair share while doing it. Dino Ciccarelli, I got to watch him play. One of my favorite guys. I can't believe I shook that freaking guy's hand. Makes me sick. Times Mickey, I never got to see play. Again, a sick muzzy on the guy. So that definitely helps him make this spot. But the almost a point per game gets him up there also. He had more goals than he had assists. I I know you like seeing that with players. Left wing. Our left wingers that we're looking at Justin Abdicator, Gerard Gallant, Thomas Holmstrom, Vakoslav Kozlov, Herbie Lewis and the News, Nick Libet, Ted Lindsay, Kirk Maltby, John Ogrendick, John Ogrendick, sorry, John, Bob Probert, Brendan Shanahan, Henrik Zetterberg. Ted Lindsay for me is the number one spot. Henrik Zetterberg's another hands down on this list. If we were going with one tough guy, you go Bob Probert. But we also have a lot more to choose from over here on the left side than we did on the right side. He's not far behind Bob Probert in penalty minutes and 200 more points. I mean, Gerard Gallant was a beast.
Man, sorry, I've been talking this whole fucking time, and this sucks.
Well, Shanahan's in, and we're on that fourth spot. And I am probably between Gallant and Probert. Do you have any way that you're leaning right now?
I think Pac-Man here is saying he has to be on Probert. So I think Probert. So Ted Lindsay, Henrik Zetterberg, Brendan Shanahan, Bob Probert make our all-time left wing Detroit Red Wings.
All right. Well, let's just go ahead right over to center, then finish up our forward group. We have some centers. We have some big decisions to make here. We have Sid Abel, Jimmy Carson, Pavel Datsyuk, Alex Delvecchio, Marcel Dion, Chris Draper.
Your Chris Draper picture? That's a dickhead move, man. That's a dickhead move.
Sergey Fedorov, The Mule, Johan Franzen, Igor Larionov, Keith Premu, Norm Ullman, and Steve Yzerman, who we already know Stevie Y is in. I have what I would consider an easy number 2 on this list, but I don't know if your 2 would be the same.
For me personally, it's Pavel Datsyuk, but I mean, you look at Alex Delvecchio, he has over 1,200 points.
And we have to choose between Datsyuk and Delvecchio. So obviously they're both going up there. Which one do we put at 1? Which one do we put at 2?
I'm going with name recognition for me more than anything, and who I've seen. I'm going with Datsyuk. The 4th spot though is difficult.
It is.
Is it though? Let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, there is a lot of guys to choose from. But is it difficult, or are we just trying to make it difficult? Because
no, I think it's genuinely difficult between 2 players. When we're looking at the rest of them, there's a lot of players here that were really damn good. There were a lot of players here who were really tough, like Keith Premu, and good. Marcel Dion with over a point per game. I know him a lot more for LA than I do Detroit, but he still was over here for 309 games.
Yes.
But he's probably on the outside looking in because we have Sid Abel and Sergey Fedorov. When you're talking Detroit Red Wings, and not to say Sid Abel, I think is almost a crime, but Fedorov over a point per game, 400 goals.
And Fedorov had a lasting impact for different reasons too off the ice, because I mean, when he came in, Pac-Man just said when he came in from Russia, he was one. I mean, not the first, but the same with like Darren Mccarty about the Eastern Bloc thing, and I mean, he was an absolute steal and really opened the door for players like Alex Ovechkin at this point. And for me, it's Sergey Fedorov. I agree with the Sid Abel leaving them off of Detroit, but if Sid Abel played the right side, he'd be on there with ease with Gordy Howe.
Yeah, Sergey Fedorov is, I do think, is the correct choice. And for all of our 90-year-old viewers, they're going to be pissed.
Yes, they are.
Over to the left defense spot.
On the left defensive side, our players for consideration are Gary Bergman, Steve Chason, Paul Coffey, that guy, Vakoslav Fedorov, Yari Fisher, Red Kelly, Nicholas Cromwell, absolute beast of a player, Nicholas Lidstrom, and Marcel Pronovost. When I think Paul Coffey, I think of him out in Edmonton.
Yeah, one of the best defensemen to ever play, period. So to have him not as a number one on a team is really telling you about the quality that you have with Nicholas Lidstrom.
Cronwall meant a ton with Detroit, had a decent amount of points. That he's a big leadership guy there. When you think of Detroit in the 90s and 2000s, you think Nicholas Cronwall.
I had to throw Fetisov in there because I think it's another player that's just kind of a shame here to leave off of the list. But he's not making it. Are we going Cronwall and Coffey?
I think so.
Okay, so left defense, Nicholas Lidstrom, Nicholas Cronwall, Nicholas Coffey.
Nicholas Coffey.
All right, right defense. We have Larry Murphy. We also have Chris Chelios, Vladimir Konstantinov, Reed Larson, and Brian Rafalski up for consideration.
Ooh.
There's an easy number one here for me. We have a comment over here. Lidstrom is the best defenseman ever for the Wings. That's for sure. I don't think it's a runaway because of this other guy who was a Nicholas Lidstrom, but played the body much, much better. Like, you picture Lidstrom that's going to go into the corner and hit somebody. Vladimir Konstantinov.
Oh, Blair.
Career cut short, Wemo accident. So you see him there in a wheelchair. Point. The team brings him out there, and it goes straight from the captain to Konstantinov carrying that cup around. I don't know how you're going to convince me of anybody above Konstantinov for that first spot on the right defense side.
I feel like Larson has to go on because he has the most games played, most points, and most penalty minutes. I'm leaning toward Rafalski.
Okay, good. I don't have to try to convince you then, because we're moving off to goalie.
Goalie.
And they have had a couple damn good goaltenders. Shovelday just wasn't good enough to make it. We are also considering Roger Crozier, Dominic Hasek, Jimmy Howard, Manny Legacy, Harry Lumley, Chris Osbad, and Terry Salchuk.
What the fuck happened to him?
He played without a mask.
Yeah, holy shit! He looks like Frankenstein's monster.
Terry Salchuk's gonna be on this list because it's Terry Salchuk. Yeah. Obvious, he's going number one. It's fucking Dominic Hasek.
Yes.
He is the greatest player, not just the greatest goaltender, the greatest player to ever play. Ever, period. No argument. It's fact. Which gives us our top line of our best all-time Detroit Red Wings: Ted Lindsay, Steve Yzerman, Gordy Howe at forwards, Nicholas Lidstrom, Vladimir Konstantinov at defense, Dominic Hasek in net. As far as just one single line, there might be a team that will ever be able to compete with this.
That is absolutely incredible of a top line. You screwed me up by saying at the lunch table, and I couldn't even remember my own damn name.